tune into Global News on Zoom on Nigeria. The top story says Myanmar fighter jet crashes amidst rising tension. 40 workers in tunnel collapse found unharmed. Senator Scott holds 2024 presidential bid. US launches 2 strikes on Iran-backed groups in Syria. And Indonesian president visits US amidst Gaza tension. Stay with me for these and more stories. In eastern Myanmar, a fighter jet has crashed amidst mounting pressure from anti-coup forces on the generals who seized power in a coup in 2021. On Saturday, the seat-taxed jet crashed in Kaya State, close to the border with Thailand, and the Karenni Nationalities Defense Force KNDF claiming it had shot down the plane. However, military spokesperson Zaw Min Tun said, according to reports, that the aircraft came down because of a technical issue and that both pilots ejected safely. He said it had been on a training flight. The crash comes with the military facing the gravest challenge from anti-coup forces since it seized power from the elected government of Aung San Suu Kyi in February 2021. An alliance of ethnic armed groups in northern Shan State hurled an offensive 2 weeks ago that has captured a series of towns and dozens of military outposts near the border with China, emboldening groups in other parts of Myanmar to step up their campaigns against the generals. Approximately 50,000 people have been displaced in Shan State and 40,000 in neighboring Saigang and Kachin State, according to the United Nations. According to a statement, fire from heavy machine guns hit the fighter in its fuselage and a wing before it crashed far from the battlefield, leaving a trail of smoke. The KNDF and the Karenni Army, the armed wing of the Karenni National Progressive Party, credited their members for bringing down the plane. The KNDF is among lots of groups that have been fighting to restore democracy in Myanmar following the military's removal of Aung San Suu Kyi's government. Now, India rescue workers have made contact with around 40 workers stuck in a tunnel collapse in Uttarakhand state and confirmed that all of them are safe, officials have said. Karamveer Singh Bandari, a senior commander in the National Disaster Response Force, said in a statement on Monday that all the 40 workers trapped inside the tunnel are safe. We send them water and food. The first contact was made via a note on a scrap of paper, but later rescuers managed to connect using radio headsets. Early on Sunday morning, the tunnel collapse occurring during a shift change at the construction site of the Yamunotri National Highway. Reports said nearly 200 meters, 14.8 feet of the tunnel, which will connect to the Hindu shrines of Atakashi and Yamunotri, appeared to have caved in. Footages released by government rescue teams over the weekend showed enormous piles of concrete blocking the tunnel with twisted metal bars protruding in front of the rubble. Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami said authorities were working to remove concrete debris in order to get the workers free. Authorities started their rescue efforts on Sunday, pumping oxygen into the collapsed section of the tunnel to help workers breathe. Accidents on large infrastructure projects are not uncommon in India. In January, India authorities evacuated hundreds of people from their homes in Joshimath, also located in Uttarakhand state, after buildings in the area popular with pilgrims and tourists developed cracks. On election matters in the United States, Tim Scott has withdrawn from the 2024 Republican presidential race after failing to rise above low single digits in the polls. The only black Republican in the Senate, Scott told on Sunday evening that he had halted his campaign based on feedback from voters. Scott also dismissed the possibility of joining any of his rivals' campaigns as running mates, saying that being vice president has never been on my to-do list for this campaign and is certainly not there now. In May, Scott entered the race and had been polling in 6th place among Republicans' primary candidates with only 2.5% of the vote, according to the Real Clear Politics average of recent polls. The 58-year-old South Carolina lawmaker had pitched himself as a staunch conservative with an optimistic vision capable of healing the deep political divisions in the United States. His exit comes as a relatively crowded Republican field struggles to make a dent in the popularity of former President Donald Trump, who is polling far ahead of the competition despite facing 4 criminal indictments. Scott is the second major candidate to leave the race in recent weeks, former Vice President Mike Pence, who served under Trump, suspended his campaign late last month. On Sunday, he declined to immediately endorse any of his Republican rivals. Still in the United States has carried out 2 more airstrikes in Syria against facilities used by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and its allied groups. Lloyd Austin, U.S. Defense Secretary, said the precision strikes targeted a training facility near the city of Al-Bu Kamal and a safe house near the city of Mayadin in response to continued attacks against U.S. forces in Syria and Iraq. The president has no higher priority than the safety of U.S. personnel, and he directed today's action to make clear that the United States will defend itself, its personnel, and its interests, Austin said in a statement on Sunday. Citing an unnamed source, report said the U.S. strikes aimed a camp run by pro-Iranian armed groups in an area west of Al-Bul Kamal in Dar al-Zor province. The other strike was near a bridge close to the city of Mayadin, which is near the Iraqi border and is a stronghold of pro-Iranian armed groups, it added. Reports said one of the sites also included weapon storage, citing a U.S. official who spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss details of military operation. The U.S. strike is the third in just over 2 weeks as Washington attempts to put an end to drone and rocket attacks against its forces in Syria and Iraq that started when the Israel-Hamas war started a month ago. According to the Pentagon, U.S. and coalition troops have been attacked at least 40 times in Iraq and Syria by Iran-backed forces in recent weeks. About 56 troops have been injured in the attacks in Syria and Iraq, but all have returned to duty. The U.S. has 900 troops in Syria and 2,500 more in neighboring Iraq, which are on a mission to advise and assist local forces trying to prevent a resurgence of ISIS, which took control of large swaths of both countries before it was eventually defeated. The U.S. is concerned that the Israel-Hamas conflict could spread through the Middle East and leave U.S. troops at isolated bases exposed. Iran and its supporters say the U.S. shares responsibility for Israel's declared war against the Palestinian armed group Hamas, which is also backed by Iran. Away from the United States, now Joko Widodo, Indonesian president, is in the United States this week for a summit with President Joe Biden at the White House and later will attend the 30th Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation APEC Summit in San Francisco amid the continuing Israel-Gaza war. The visit has stoked questions about whether Widodo, popularly known as Jokowi, will call for a ceasefire in Gaza. The issue is mainly heated as the Indonesian hospital located in North Gaza has been encircled by Israeli forces. The hospital was built in 2011 with donations from Indonesian citizens and organizations, including the Indonesian Red Cross Society and the Muhammadiyah Society, one of Indonesia's largest Muslim organizations. It was officially inaugurated in 2016 by the then Indonesian Vice President Yusuf Kala. 3 Indonesian volunteers with the Indonesian humanitarian organization, the Medical Emergency Rescue Committee, MERC, which organized the donations to build the hospital, are presently based in North Gaza. However, despite the grim situation in the besieged enclave, experts said, according to reports, that Widodo was likely to use the visit to the White House to deliberate a wide range of issues. Ahmad Rizki M. Umar, an associate lecturer at the University of Queensland, said he will likely discuss several matters related to investment and trade, especially related to the relocation of the capital and critical minerals such as nickel, downstreaming, and the production of electric vehicles in Indonesia. As an outgoing president whose second and final term in office will end next year, Widodo is likely to be concerned with securing his legacy and shoring up current projects already in the works, such as plans to relocate 1.5 million of Jakarta's 11 million residents to East Kalimantan under the new capital city project, estimated to cost some $32 billion. Umar added that Widodo would possibly also discuss Indonesia's membership of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, which might make it more attractive to investors given the organization's commitment to best practices as Southeast Asia's biggest economy looks to lure more U.S. entrepreneurs. More stories: over 180,000 march against anti-Semitism in France. Over 180 people across France, including tens of thousands in Paris, have joined marches to criticize a rise in anti-Semitism amid Israel's ongoing war against Hamas in Gaza. As of Saturday, the Interior Minister said there had been 1,247 anti-Semitic acts since the war erupted on October 7th, almost 3 times as many as in the whole of 2022. Prime Minister Elisabeth Borne, former President Nicolas Sarkozy, and Francois Hollande, representatives of many parties on the left and conservatives and centrists from President Emmanuel Macron's party, attended Sunday's march in the French capital amidst tight security. Macron did not attend, but expressed his support for the protest and called on citizens to rise up against the unbearable resurgence of unbridled anti-Semitism. The leader of the far-left France Unbowed Party, Jean-Luc Mélenchon, also stayed away, saying that the march will be a meeting of friends of unconditional support for the massacre in Gaza. He also questioned the attendance of Marine Le Pen, given her party's roots in anti-Semitism. The party was founded by her father, who was convicted of Holocaust denial. Police said 105,000 people had joined the Paris march, while Interior Ministry figures put the nationwide figure at 182,000. More than 70 events took place across the country, including in major cities Lyon, Nice, and Strasbourg. Our order of the day is the total fight against anti-Semitism, which is the opposite of the values of the Republic, said Senate Speaker Gerard Lorca, who organized the rallies with Lower House Speaker Yael Braun-Pivet as the marches set off. No major incidents were reported. On Israel-Gaza conflict, WHO warns of rising deaths in Gaza. Gaza's 2 major hospitals have stopped taking new patients due to Israeli bombardment and shortages of medicine and fuel amidst reports of increasing deaths among patients and medical staff. On Sunday, Al-Shifa and Al-Quds, Gaza's biggest and second biggest hospitals respectively, said they had halted operations as the World Health Organization called for a quick ceasefire to prevent a rise in deaths. Dr. Nidal Abu Hadrous, a neurosurgeon working at Al-Shifa Hospital, said patients and staff were facing a disastrous situation with no electricity or water and no safe passage out. This can't last long. Urgent intervention to save the staff and the patients is required, Abu Hadrous said, according to reports. Kamal Adwan Hospital in northern Gaza also stopped operations after its main generator ran out of fuel. Hospital Director Ahmed Al-Khalous said. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, WHO Director General, said the situation at Al-Shifa Hospital was dire and perilous. 3 nurses have been killed at Al-Shifa Hospital since Friday amidst Israeli bombardment and clashes near the complex, the United Nations Relief Agency in the occupied Palestinian territory said in its latest update on Sunday. According to the United Nations Agency, 12 patients, including 2 premature babies, have also died since the start of power outages, while critical infrastructure, including the cardiovascular facility and maternity ward, has been badly damaged. Gaza's health ministry has said that 3 premature newborns have also died. The World Health Organization has said that 600 to 650 patients, 200 to 500 health workers, and about 1,500 internally displaced people remain at the hospital with no safe passage out. The patients include 36 babies who are at risk of dying due to the lack of functional incubators, according to the health ministry in the Hamas-governed enclave. Israeli forces have enclosed medical facilities in the north of Gaza, including Al-Shifa Hospital, which Israeli officials claim is located on top of a Hamas command center. Hamas and hospital officials have denied that the complex hides any military infrastructure. Palestinian officials and people inside the hospital have reported Israeli forces directly targeting the hospital complex with munitions and snipers. On Sunday, Health Ministry Under-Secretary Munir Al-Bursh said snipers were firing at any movement inside the compound. Israel's military said it offered to evacuate newborn babies and had placed 300 liters, 80 gallons of fuel at the entrance of the hospital, releasing footages of its soldiers carrying containers and putting them on the ground, but that Hamas had blocked its efforts. Hamas denied that it refused the fuel and said the hospital was under the authority of Gaza's health ministry. Stay with us as we take a quick break. When we return, we've got more stories and headlines and updates. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now talking off-season elections in Nigeria. Guba polls, APC wins in Kogi, Imo, collation ongoing in Bayelsa. According to the results declared by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, returning officer Abayomi Fashino, Imo State Governor Senator Hope Uzodinma of the All Progressives Congress, APC, won his re-election with a landslide victory. Uzodinma won all the 27 local councils of the state. He polled 540,380 votes to floor Senator Samuel Anyanwu of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, who scored 71,503 votes, and Senator Ethan Ochonu of the Labour Party, LP, who polled 64,081 votes. Uzodinma's victory elicited complaints from the PDP and LP candidates who called for the cancellation of the result. In Kogi, the APC governorship candidate Alhaji Usman Ododo sailing home to victory with 446,237 votes after the results of 3 remaining local government areas were released last night. He was in massive leads in result from 18 of the state's 21 local government areas released so far. He won 11 LJs and gathered 417,166 votes, while his trailing Social Democratic Party SDP opponent Murtala Ajaka won in 6th and polled 208,503 votes. The PDP standard bearer Senator Dino Melaye was yet to win in the local government area and scored 41,925 votes. The African Democratic Congress ADC candidate Leke Abedejide won 1 local government area. In Bayelsa State, Governor Doyi Diri, who is seeking re-election on the platform of the PDP, was coasting to victory at press time after sealing 5 of the 6 local government areas so far announced by the INEC, while Chief Timi Pre-Silva of the APC won in 1 local government area. According to the results announced by the state returning officer and Vice Chancellor, Federal University of Technology, Mina, Professor Farouk Kuta, the PDP won in Sagbama, Ekiremo, Yanogua, Kolokuma, Opokuma, and Ogbia local government areas. The PDP has so far garnered 137,909 votes, while the APC is trailing with 73,503 votes. The results for Braz and Southern Ijo local government areas, however, are still being awaited as the INEC has adjourned the announcement of the remaining 2 local government areas as of today. Now, Abuja Airport holds operations. Flight operations have been provisionally paused at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja following a runway incursion involving an aero contractor's aircraft. The temporal shutdown was reached after the Lagos-Abuja flight operated by aero contractors landed at the airport and its nose wheel was trapped on the ground while taxiing on runway A4. While no death or injury was recorded during the occurrence as passengers were safely disembarked from the aircraft, efforts were being made to eject the aircraft from the runway. Moreover, an investigation has begun by the Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau (NSIB) to unravel the cause of the incident. The aircraft involved in the serious incident was a Boeing 733 with nationality and registration marks 5NBYQ, which happened around 10:47 a.m. local time on Sunday. Dr. James Ododu, NSIB Director of Public Affairs and Consumer Protection, who confirmed the incident, said the aircraft, upon landing at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja from Lagos and in a bid to exit the runway via A4, has its nose wheel stuck in the grass verge with its fuselage on the runway. And finally, on the news, Naira resists amid CBN rescue efforts. The Naira seems to have yielded to pressure in the foreign exchange market as it depreciated massively against the US dollar, both in the official and parallel markets, after suffering a rebound for a few days where it appreciated 950 per $1 at the parallel market, otherwise known as the black market. On Friday, the Naira dropped to a record low for the second time in about 2 weeks as the currency continued its wide swings in a bid to find a market level. It declined 14% of the official market, close to 996.75 Naira to the dollar, the lowest it has traded on record. Since October 30th, this is the sharpest single-day loss when it weakened 25% to 993.82 Naira per dollar, before rallying 18% the next day. At the parallel market, there was improved pressure on the foreign exchange FX market, intensified on Wednesday as the Naira fell to 1,140 per dollar. This represents 8.91% depreciation against the dollar when compared with an average of 1,046.66 Naira exchange on Tuesday. On Tuesday, the Naira fell to an average rate of 1,446 Naira.66 per dollar following a shortage of dollars on the black market. This represents 2.61% weaker than 1,020 Naira quoted on Monday on the black market. The dollar was sold for 1,080 Naira in First at Lagos, 1,030 Naira at Airport Lagos, and in Ibadan it sold for 1,025 Naira per dollar. Considerable, the Naira closed the week at 1,190 Naira per dollar on the black market. An investigation by independent analytics showed that some highly placed Nigerians who have benefited from the FX round tripping under the last administration are presently fighting the system. According to the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN), the pushback in the forex market is by speculators and currency traders. The federal government did an excellent job with the Naira given its recent appreciation by speculators and hoarders who are powerful. Nigerians are pushing back and sabotaging government efforts, a source who professed anonymity said. Experts believe the CBN has what it takes to clamp down on currency hoarders and speculators whose activities affect the appreciation of the Naira against the US dollars. Subsequent steps by the CBN to avert the depreciation of the Naira received a great boost in the last 2 weeks. The improvement was not unconnected to the implementation of President Bola Tinubu's promise to clear the estimated $7 billion foreign exchange backlog. A recap of major stories says Myanmar fighter jet crashes amidst rising tension. 40 workers in tunnel collapse found unharmed. Senators Court holds 2024 presidential bid. US launches 2 strikes on Iran-backed groups in Syria. An Indonesian president visits US amidst Gaza tensions. And thank you for joining us. Stay informed, stay connected. We'll be back tomorrow with more stories. Have a nice day.